Good morning, Cityside. Happy Sunday to all of you. I'm going to ask that you just take a nice deep breath in to all the light and love that is surrounding you. Today I reflect on the beautiful spirit of the empowered Ruth Bader Ginsburg. May her soul rest deeply as she knows that her work in this lifetime was felt by so many. How fickle my heart and how woozy my eyes. I struggle to find any truth in your lies. And now my heart stumbles on things I don't know. My weakness I feel I must finally show. So lend me your hand and we'll conquer them all. But lend me your heart and I'll just let you fall. And lend me your eyes, I can change what you see. But your soul you must keep totally free. How fickle my heart and how woozy my eyes. I struggle to find any truth in your lies. And now my heart stumbles on things I don't know. My weakness I feel I must finally show. You invest your love, you invest your life. Come on. Where you invest your love, you invest your life, Cityside. Awake my soul. Taking this back, so many of you know this. I call this as a spirit jam. Om Shanti. Out there in the virtual world, feel free to sing along. Here we go. Om Shanti, Om Shanti Om, Om Shanti Om, Shanti Om, Shanti Shanti Om, Om Shanti Om, Shanti Om, Shanti Shanti Om, Om Shanti Om, Shanti Om, Shanti Shanti Om, Om. I said peace inside my mind, God and only God is moving me. Peace inside my mind, God and only God I live to see. Peace inside my mind, God and only God is moving me. Peace inside my mind, God and only God I live to see. Om Shanti Om, Shanti Om, Shanti Shanti Om, 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 Om. Om Shanti, yes, peace inside my heart, peace inside my soul. Love is on my mind, love is in my soul. Everywhere that I go, oh, hey, yeah. I am one and one is me, and God is all that I can see. Oh, through me and me, with me, I can go, in which I know that I am loved. Ooh, peace inside my soul, inside my soul, inside my soul.
Good morning, Cityside. How are y'all doing today? Welcome to our Sunday morning service and celebration. My name is Russell Aguirre, and I can now introduce myself as one of your ministers instead of licensed spiritual practitioner, since I finally passed my oral panels and I'm done. So thank you so much for being here today. If you are on the live streamers, we especially want to welcome you. We love you, and thank you for being here. And you can always join our live stream by going to cityside.me and clicking on the Watch Online button in the header. One of the features that we've added to our cityside.me website is our Sunday bulletin, so you can check out what's going on here. If you use your phone and go to the calendar page by selecting today's date, you will be able to follow along by clicking the View the Sunday Bulletin button. Now, at Cityside, we're all about practical spirituality that you can use to create the life of your dreams. We embrace new thought and wisdom paths, and we are affiliated with the Centers for Spiritual Living. We honor all paths, and we practice oneness. And really what we're all about is providing a supportive community where you can explore your own spiritual path and connect to the spirit and wisdom within you. Our amazing licensed spiritual practitioner, Don Mannery, is holding vigil today, which is a deep meditative state that he holds for us to have a transformative experience here. We're also a social media friendly community, so we appreciate you guys getting the word out through social media, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or interpretive dance or smoke signals or whatever you guys got to do to get the word out. We love that, so please check in on Facebook, please check in on Twitter, anything that you can do, we appreciate that. Our theme this fall is exploring your true self, and our focus for September is exploring the spiritual self. And today, the amazing Reverend Aimee Daniels is here to share her message, Resetting Your Frequency to Spirit. Now, I gotta say, that is something that I feel like I've had to be doing quite a bit, especially in the recent days. So I'm really looking forward to what Aimee has to say about how we can find our way back to that divine that is at the center of ourselves. Now, please join me in speaking aloud our vision and mission statement. It's online in the Sunday Bulletin if you want to follow along, and will also appear on the screen for our wonderful live streamers. We envision an empowered community that is living in a world of unconditional love and action. Our mission is to create safe spaces to explore and deepen our faith, grow in spiritual relationship, and connect with our authentic nature.
Good morning, Cityside. I'm Krista Bremberg, one of your spiritual practitioners, and this morning I'll be doing the reading and a little bit of meditation with you. Our reading this morning is from Byron Katie's Loving What Is, and this chapter is titled Meeting Your Thoughts with Understanding. She says, "A thought is harmless unless we believe it. It is not our thoughts, but the attachment to our thoughts that cause suffering. Attaching to a thought means believing that it's true without inquiring. A belief is a thought that we've been attaching to for years." Later she says, "I don't let go of my thoughts. I meet them with understanding, then they let me go." So if you would just join me for a few minutes in meditation as we relax into this now moment. Feel free to close your eyes and just let this reading be with you. And in this moment, I recognize that there is one power in presence. This light, this love, this joy, this wholeness is the very truth of my life. And the same is true for each of us. Each of us is connected to this life source ever and always. It is from this place of oneness that I speak a word of blessing on today's service, knowing that it is whole, perfect, and complete even as it begins. I bless Aimee, knowing that she is the perfect outlet for this word and inspiration this morning, knowing that she is uplifted even as she uplifts. I bless our music ministry, knowing that Tiffany and Neil are blessing us with their gifts this morning, and that this is quite a joy for all of us. And I bless each of us, knowing that as we allow ourselves to really hear the message this morning, hear it not just with our ears, but with our hearts and with our God self, that our attachment softens, that we are able to inquire and really question our beliefs, our ideas, our attachments, our thoughts, and that this brings us great joy and great growth and transformation. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you. That was beautiful. All right. So for our feature song today, over the past few days, social media, as we all know, that fabulous woman who made her mark in the world transitioned. And what brought me so much joy is how much love that was felt among all of us. And this word kept coming up. Just one word, people would say, with her picture, and that was respect. And so this morning, actually yesterday, I was thinking about what do I want to sing today for the feature, and I immediately thought of Aretha Franklin's Respect, shouting out to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Come on, Neil Alger. If you're out there sitting down, you want to stand up. If you're in here and you want to stand up and just move your body a little bit, you're welcome to do that. What you want, baby, she's got it. What you need, you know she's got it. All I'm asking for a little respect when you get home. Hey, baby, when you get home, oh, mister, ain't gonna do you wrong while you're gone. Ain't gonna do you wrong, no, 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 I don't wanna. All I want you to do for me is give it to me. Hey, baby, when you get home, oh, just a little bit. I'm about to give you all my money. All I'm asking in return, honey, is to give me my profits when you get home. Hey, baby, when you get home, yeah, yes. Oh, now. Hey, hey. I said, ooh, your kisses sweeter than honey. Guess what? So is my money. And all I want you to do for me is give it to me. Hey, baby, when you get home, oh, honey, I said, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take it, T-C-T, yeah. Oh, just a little bit in the morning, respect, just a little bit in the evening. I said respect from you. Hey, baby, I got some R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Hey, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Hey, oh yeah, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Woo, T-C-T, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. All right. Respect.
Good morning, everybody. Respect. You know, when I think about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I have to say, obviously, I had an incredible amount of respect for her. Maybe that's not obvious. But when I think about her, that's the essence of what she offered to the world, isn't it? She wanted everyone to be respected. And she lived her life that way. That's the frequency that she offered. That's the energy she offered to the world. So I joined Tiffany in celebrating her life. I am saddened about her passing, but I want to stay in the energy of celebrating her because she's a way shower. She's an example for us. So I'm going to switch gears now. I'm going to move into my talk. And I'm going to start with a story I think you can all relate to. I was driving down the road the other day, and it was actually even funnier than the way I was going to tell it. So, we're going to hear, Rich's mom is really big in the League of Women Voters, so we're going to hear this guy speak who is like a constitutional expert, which, let me just tell you, it's probably something I would never do. I'm just going to admit it. And I'm on the phone for work, and he wants me to drive, and we're in a bad cell zone, right? And I'm going through this, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then I'm starting to get frustrated, right? Because I'm not able to connect with the people. And I was on the phone with a client whose business is in really bad shape. So add that onto it. I was starting to get a little stressed, right? And so I'm in this can you hear me thing. And I realized this is kind of how we are in life a lot, right, with our spirit. We're disconnected and we're freaking out a little bit because we're in the world of form and we're like, are you there? Are you there? Right? That's kind of how life is. But, when we think about our lives too, it's not as simple as just sometimes it's not as simple as wow, I just want to change the channel that I'm on. Sometimes it doesn't seem that simple to us, does it? It would be great if it could just be boom, pushing the channel. But the thing is, we want to be tuned into the channel of spirit. We want to be on the frequency and the energy of the divine. But part of life is that we need to do the work to stay connected to that. Reverend Darrell talked to us last week about staying in the present moment, that spirit is in the present moment where our thinking stops. And we're going to take that a little bit deeper today because our spiritual journey requires discipline. It requires us to look at ourselves. It requires us to be honest with ourselves about where we're at, not in a judgmental way, but more in a loving, noticing way. Hey, this is where I'm noticing I'm at right now. That's interesting. What do I need to do to come back to my path, to come back to my practice? And Eckhart Tolle says, what you learn in therapy or self-observation is about you. It's not you. It is content, not essence. Going beyond ego is stepping out of content. Knowing yourself and being yourself is to cease to identify with content. And I want to be really clear, I'm not against therapy. I think we all need it sometimes. And I also think we need to do self-observation. And I'm going to talk later about a little bit of self-observation, but we need to be clear that when we're doing therapy or self-observation, it's to cultivate the space so that we can connect to our spirit, so that we can set aside our human self. And so we want to look at how do we cease to identify with content? Most of us define ourselves by the content of our lives, don't we? And what am I talking about here? It's anything you perceive, it's anything you experience, it's anything you do or think or feel. That's content. And here's a clue that you're focusing on content. It's when you notice that you're putting the word my in front of anything. And when you do that, you're referring to the life that you have or the life that you think you have, right? It's mine, it's it's me, right? But you're not referring to the essence that you are. You're referring to whatever's outpicturing in the world. So what are some examples of content? Your age, your relationships, your health, your work. We could go on and on. Your living situation, your mental and emotional state. Content is the inner and outer circumstances of our life. Your past is content. So is your future. They're both content. So when we tune into the frequency of spirit, we're really moving our attention or our awareness away from the content so that we can enter this inner space of consciousness, or what we might call self with a capital S. So let's unpack this a little more, and let's look at some concepts which really are related to content, because what I want to help you do is identify when you're so connected to content so you can stop yourself. You know, sometimes we have to be connected to content, right? We're at work or whatever, but just to notice when we're sort of getting sucked into a place that's not good for us. So here's some things that are related to content. This idea of good and bad. You know, I think William Shakespeare said it best. There is no good or bad, only thinking makes it so. You know, good or bad is a human construct, and it's related to content. And if spirit contains everything, there is no good or bad, which is really hard to get your head around right now. Let's just be real, okay? It's very hard right now. But we never know what things are for. We don't. We don't know why things are happening. Except sometimes in hindsight, we think we know why it happened, right? We'll talk a little more about that. But there's a story about a wise man, and he wins a car in the lottery. And everyone in his life is so excited for him. And they're like, you know, this is good. You won a car. And he says, maybe. And then he's driving down the road in his awesome car, and he gets in an accident. Someone hits him, and he ends up in the hospital. And someone says to him, this is bad. And he says, maybe. And then while he's in the hospital, his house falls into the sea. And people say to him, this is good. This is good. You weren't there. And he says, maybe. And that's kind of how we have to hold life, right? Because we want to label things good or bad, but a lot of things are like, hey, we don't know what it's for, right? And I think J. Krishnamurti captured this sentiment the best. He was asked, or actually he said, he was kind of a squirrely little guy. And he said, goes up and he's speaking, and he said, do you want to know my secret? And he says, I never mind what happens. I never mind what happens. You know, we mind a lot of things that happen, don't we? We mind being inconvenienced. Like on the way here, my iPass didn't work. I'm like, what's that? Right? We mind what happens, right? Some people mind that they need to wear a mask right now, right? But, you know, most of the time what happens just when we mind it, it just doesn't fit into our idea of how life should be. And we don't know what the bigger picture is. Eckhart Tolle says, life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. How do you know this is the experience you need? It's because it's the experience you're having. So accepting what is, not setting your frequency to resistance, right? That's a lot of work sometimes, isn't it? But if you're having the experience, it's because you're supposed to. Somewhere in here is spirit, and I'm going to wait for it to reveal itself. There's some lesson, there's some growth, there's something in here for me. You know, I was talking to someone the other day about some things that happened at Cityside early on that were difficult. And the person shared with me, like, I'm glad that happened now. It really helped me overcome some things. And when I think about that in my own life, I have so many examples of that. You know, the heartbreak that actually now I'm in a better situation than that. You know, the job that shifted that led me to the work that I'm in now. Like, we don't really know what things are for. Sometimes we're being moved, but we have to stay open to know that. So we just need to ask, what's here for me? What growth is here for me? Even people who bug us, maybe especially people who bug us, right? The Dalai Lama, we were just talking about this in Prosperity Plus this week. There was a story about the Dalai Lama, and he said, the Chinese are my sacred friends because it forces me to do my work, basically. And we all have sacred friends in our life. We all have those people who force us to do our work, to help us to notice, like, what do we really believe, right? What do we really believe underneath what we say we believe? And the longer I live, the more I feel to be spiritually mature, we also have to be emotionally mature, which is a lot of work. I had a situation this week with Rich. It was the same day with the car. So he's on the phone when I'm in the car with him. I'm on the phone, right? And I'm like, really? You have to be on the phone right now? Well, I'm on the phone in the car. And I said, I feel like you think your work is more important than mine. I said, that's how it makes me feel, when you're telling me to get off the phone. And he said, well, that wasn't what I thought at all. But, the reason I'm sharing this story is not to make him wrong, because we worked it out in like 3 seconds. And he said, you were snippy with me. And I'm like, yes, I was. I own that. I was having like a mental freak out. But the reason I'm sharing this with you all now is like, I would not have done that 20 years ago. I would have resented him. I would have had a story about him. But now my commitment to our relationship is bigger than what was happening in the moment, right? And so, but for me to do my work, I have to be willing to look at that, right? And I need to be willing to say something and listen openly and work it out. And so I think a lot of times when people are on the spiritual journey, they forget about the emotional and the human part of it. And so they bypass. So they're not really available to the deeper work because they're really still triggered, right? And that's why we need to work on both. Okay, I'm going to get off of my high horse on that. So I want to... So let's look at some of our typical ego reactions. Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about the ego. And when we're really being hijacked by the world, by our ego, we're not in our spirit. And I love how he talks about the ego too, because he says it's the incessant stream of mind. I don't know about anyone else, but I can really relate to that sometimes, the incessant stream of mind. Sometimes you're just like, will you just shut the F up? Because I'm tired of you. But we might call it your brain trying to help. We might call it just being human. Like, our human self is just trying to help us out, right? That's how our brain is wired. So see if you spot yourself in any of these. These are ego things. Identifying with something too strongly. So when I make it mine, I make it part of me. It's part of my identity. It's the identity of the world. It's not spirit. That can be our job. It can be our stuff. It can be recognition. It can be attached to people wanting to recognize us. There's lots of ways that gets it, but identifying with something too strongly is one way. Here's another one. Constantly wanting more. And this can show up in the positive or the negative. It can show it up like, I don't have enough, I'm not enough. It can be just a constant stream of wanting. And, it's interesting because so often in our classes we talk about, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Like we can get so lost in what we want. Can't you? Can't we? Can't you? Can't we all? But what's our inner state when we're in a constant state of wanting? We might be anxious. We might be restless. We might be bored. There's a lot of ways it can show up. We might just be dissatisfied. These are all things that represent unfulfilled wanting. We just need to remember that's not our spirit, because our spirit is always at peace. Identifying too strongly with the body, positively or negatively, like judging your body, glorifying your body, being worried about how your body's changing, even focusing on what's wrong with your body, right? That can be a way that we get sucked away. Right? And that's an especially hard one if you don't feel good in your physical body. That's why, all this body, mind, spirit, there's some wisdom in it, because if we're at peace in our body, at a peace in our mind, then we can connect to our spirit. So let's look at some habits that go along with being in our ego, okay? And we could come up with a much longer list than this, but I'm just throwing some of these out there for you to just notice it. Complaining about other people, complaining about things, being deeply offended by other people, needing to be special, resentment, reactivity, grievances, blaming, being a victim, being right and making other people wrong. That's a big one we got going as a culture right now. Right? And there, anyway, I'm not going there. I was tempted, but I'm not going there. Taking everything personally. Confusing opinions and viewpoints with facts. Your opinion's just your opinion. It doesn't mean it's a fact, right? So did you spot yourself? Any of those? You spot yourself? So what we're really trying to do is unpeel everything that's not our real self. That's what we're trying to do, to bring ourselves back to the inner, that inner space. And I think the thing is we need to be forgiving of ourselves too, because let's be honest, we all do these things sometimes, right? In spite of our best intentions, we do them. And it's really about being committed to coming back to our practice. You know, coming back to our practice to notice how we're being and to pause and shift. I was thinking as I was writing the talk, I was like, you know, I have certain dietary things I try to do. And I've been cheating like crazy lately. But it's like, what do I do when I know I've done that, right? And I start to not feel good in my body. I'm like, I just come back to what I was doing. It's the same thing with your spiritual practice. Just get back to what you know works. So you're the only one who can change your life. And you change your life by changing your reactions. Recently had a situation, I was just talking about this with another situation with Rich. Poor Rich, I'm talking about him this morning. But I had this reaction, which was all about me. I'm just going to own it. But my reaction was, he doesn't consider me. Right? He doesn't consider me. And in my head, like, built a case, like, he didn't consider me, which is kind of my trigger. Like, you know, being considered is my trigger. So I was talking to my practitioner, and I think everyone should have a practitioner because I think we all need to do the work. We all need to be reminded of what the truth is. So she said, well, we're going to do a little Byron Katie on this. And actually, in the live stream, they're going to drop in the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, which, you know, Byron Katie's whole thing is that it's actually good to write things down. Like if you have grievances or you're upset, it's good to write them down. So this worksheet is about helping you get in touch with what's going on with you. And she has these 4 questions, okay? And so my practitioner did the 4 questions with me. I'm going to tell you what they are, and then I'm going to use it with the example I just shared with you. So the first question is it true? You know, is what I'm believing right now, is it true? And the idea is to be still and ask yourself if it's true, right? Second question, can you absolutely know it's true? So this is another opportunity just to open up your mind a little bit more and to go deeper into the unknown, just to be open to the fact that maybe you don't actually know what's going on beneath the surface, right? We always think we know, but we don't. And then question 3, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? And the beauty of this question is you start to notice like your internal cause and effect. Like when I think this is what happens with me. And you can notice the disturbance that happens within you when you make that thought, you know, when you believe that thought. And how do you treat the person when you believe that thought? And how do you treat yourself when you believe that thought? And just make a list. And then the 4th question is, who would you be without that thought? And imagine yourself in the presence of the person or the situation without believing that thought. What would be possible for you? How would your life be different if you didn't even think that thought? How would you feel? And which do you prefer? How do you want to feel? And then here's the genius of her process, in my opinion. It's called the turnaround. So the turnaround gives you the opportunity to experience the opposite of what you believe. So literally you flip it on its head and you're invited to find at least 3 specific turnarounds. So I'm going to use my example because I think it will help you all. So my thought was, Rich doesn't consider me, right? And can I absolutely know that's true? I want to be right? I want it to be true, but I can't honestly say I know it's true. I think I said yes when I did it with my practitioner. Second question, can you absolutely know it's true? No, I can't. I'm not in his head. I don't know if this is true or not. Right? He might have been considering something else. How do I know? Right? Then how do I react? What happens when I believe that thought? Yeah, when I believe that thought, I build a case against him in my head. That's what I do. And I start acting like I'm all right and all self-righteous, right? That's what I do. And who would I be without that thought? I'd be free without that thought. I would be free. And here's the genius part, the turnaround. It's the opposite of what you believe. So here's a couple I came up with. I don't consider rich. Oof. Who wants to try that one on? Yeah, I started to feel bad when I thought about it from his perspective, right? He was just trying to balance competing priorities among all the people in his life. He was just trying to consider everyone. I wasn't considering him, I was considering me. And then the other one I came up with which really landed with me, was I don't consider me. I don't consider me. You know, because if I'm unhappy with something, what am I doing to consider myself? Right? Am I having some unspoken expectation? Or is there a way I can give myself what I'm asking for from someone else? Right? It's very, very powerful. I encourage you to try it. We had Krista and one of our other friends and we had a chance to see Byron Katie a few years ago. And she's just so in the moment because she doesn't let her thoughts take her. You know, she said, I discovered that when I believed my thoughts, I suffered, but when I didn't believe them, I didn't suffer, and that this is true for every human being. Freedom is as simple as that. Freedom is on the other side of the thought. Why wouldn't you choose that? Our spirit's on the other side of the thought. Because we can reconnect to that part of ourselves which is beyond the world of form then. So stay in that place of love and connection in relationship where we're in relationship with ourselves and with the other person. So let's talk a little bit more about how we reset the frequency, our frequency, to be the transmitters of the energy of spirit. You know, Eckhart Tolle says that the shepherds of the new earth are going to be those who transmit the new frequency of being on the earth, a new frequency of consciousness on the earth. And being in the spacious stillness and being fully present with who they are. So how do we do this? It begins by cultivating the experience of being. We're so busy doing, even at shelter in place, at first people were being more, now people are just as busy doing even if they're at home, right? Aren't they? So bringing our awareness to our body, to our breath, you know, to being fully present to whoever we're with in that moment, whatever we're doing in that moment. Gandhi was brilliant at this. I remember some story about him, like, I'm sweeping the floor now. That's what I'm doing, being present to that. So spend some time each day just being, whatever that is for you, meditation, walking in nature, just spend some time being. Letting go of our ego's grip on us and our constant attention to the content of our lives. In the space that opens up, there's room for your spirit to come in. Eckhart Tolle talks about awakened doing. What is awakened doing? It's got 3 modalities. The first one is acceptance. We already talked about acceptance. The second one is enjoyment, and the third one's enthusiasm. So let me tell you what he means by this. Everything has its own vibrational frequency, right? These 3 modalities have a vibrational frequency. And just invite you to notice as you go into the week, when you're not in them, that you're suffering. Right? When you're not in these, you're suffering. So acceptance, we talked about this. You know, for now, in this situation, this is what is. And I consciously accept to do what I need to do from where I am right now. I accept it. The second one, enjoyment. There's a peace that comes when we move into this surrendered action. We can actually enjoy it. You know, it makes me think about when different family members, especially my mom, was sick, right, at the end of her life. You know, what can you do? You can only just be with them, right? That's the gift. It slows you down. So being in that moment and just enjoying the sweetness of whatever moment you're in. Enthusiasm, a deep enjoyment of what you do that is connected to a goal or a vision that you work toward. Enthusiasm, what's the root of that? Entheos, divine inspiration in spirit, taking action from a place that is divinely inspired based on what matters to you. You know, I think RBG is a great example of that. Like, she was inspired by this idea of respect for all people and accomplishing this through the law of the country. So I also want to say, don't be discouraged. I know a lot of people are discouraged right now because she passed. I'm getting the 3-minute signal. I need to speed it up here. People are discouraged. I got a text right after it was announced she died saying, "We're fucked." Excuse my language. You know, and it would be easy to be in that place if we are worried about this country becoming too conservative. But, you know, she was the way shower. She taught us how to do it, just like a lot of other people did. We can't give up. We have to stay with what we're for. We need to believe that love is going to have the final word, and I believe that. So as we close... So as we close, I just want to remind you that what you do with your life is your choice. You get to choose it. You get to decide if you're going to bring love and acceptance. You get to decide if you're going to be an open space to bring forth this new consciousness, or if you're going to feed all the hate and all the negativity that's happening in the world right now. And I really want to invite you to choose to come from the place of love, to choose to come from the place of acceptance. We can still move forward. We don't have to fight. So that's my invitation to you. So we're going to pray now, so I don't get the hook. I don't know if we have one. So let's just breathe into this. Breathe into the presence of Spirit, this infinite, eternal presence of love and goodness that is the truth of our being. I know that this presence of love, that we are all connected to it, that we are one with it, that there is a divine, eternal oneness and connection that is happening. So from this place of oneness, I know and affirm for each and every person hearing my words, and for this country and the world, that we move forward from the place of spirit, that we adjust our frequency to the frequency of love, that we reset our frequency to our spirit. And I just know and affirm that good is coming. I know and affirm that each and every person is led to what they need in this moment. And I know that Spirit's got all of us. Spirit has all of this, that this is all already done. This is the truth that I am knowing and affirming, and I'm grateful for it. I'm so grateful for this beautiful community. I'm grateful to know that Spirit will have the final word, that love will have the final word, and I'm grateful to know that all is well in this present moment. And with so much gratitude, I simply say, and so it is. Amen. To my seat. E.T. asked me to say a few words about our upcoming self-mastery class that Connie and I are going to be teaching together. And I'm super excited about it because what I was talking about earlier, about like the spiritual and being emotionally mature go together, this class is really about that. This is kind of an updated version of self-mastery. If anyone took it before, it is an updated version. And it really focuses not just on the teachings of the science of mind, but also pulls on Don Miguel Ruiz. It draws on a lot of the wisdom of people who have taught emotional intelligence, modern spiritual teachers, and it's really a 10-week journey into yourself, but to be supported with a group of people. And you might say, okay, we're all on Zoom right now. How's that going to be? Amy's sitting out here. She was in the class we just finished. And it's amazing how you can cultivate intimacy in Zoom in breakout rooms. And so I want to invite you all to join us, to be in community with others in taking on this idea of self-mastery and doing the work, because what we do together, it builds in power. It builds in power for us individually and for a community, and it can really have an impact. So I really hope you'll consider joining us. It starts October 6th for 10 weeks. And with that, I'm going to get out of the way and let Russ come back up here.
Give some love to Reverend Aimee, please. That was the talk that I needed to hear today. Thank you, Aimee. And now is our time of offering. And Cityside is a community-supported organization where each week we practice conscious giving to support Cityside in creating not just this experience, but the entire Cityside experience, whether that's classes or workshops or small groups, whatever it might be. So one of the reasons that I give regularly to Cityside is that it helps to open me up. It opens me up so that I'm not so grasping in my life, and especially grasping with my money, holding on to my money, which feels very restrictive. And it, metaphysically speaking, it tells the universe that, okay, I'm going to give you less money now because you're holding on to it so hard, which is not what I want. So we really appreciate any of the gifts that you choose to give us here today. And there's 4 ways that you can give to us. By going to the giving page on our website, you can make a one-time gift using a debit card, credit card, or bank account. That happens to be my favorite way of giving. You can also set up recurring giving. You can also make a request to receive the address to give by mail. And finally, you can text to give, which seems to be everybody's favorite way of giving these days, by texting the word GIVE to 312-757-8111. If it's your first time using text to give, you'll receive instructions on how to set that up. And then in the future, all you need to do is just send a text to that number again, and you will be able to give whatever dollar amount that you choose to give. And to give in person, for those of you who are here today, we have the giving box over here with a wonderful hand sanitizer right next to it. And but before we get into giving the gifts, I would like to invite us into the ritual that we practice to open us up to the feeling of gratitude, to let our hearts be what drives our giving instead of our heads. And I invite you, if it feels comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes or soften your gaze and just call back a time in the past week where you just felt so grateful. Maybe it was a connection with a person. Maybe it was an event that you attended. Maybe it was just somebody did something that really inspired you or supported you. Whatever it is, just let that feeling flood your body with love and with gratitude. Now turn that attention to your money. And when you feel ready, go ahead and open your eyes as we say our giving affirmation together, which you can also find in your Sunday bulletin. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. Thank you so much for the gifts that you give us. We are grateful, grateful, grateful.
don't understand why we treat each other in this way, taking our time with the silly games that we play. Oh, we've got our love, and no matter what is said or done, we are one. No matter what we do, we are one. I say love will see us through, we are one. And that's the way it is, we are one. Oh.
Good morning, Cityside. I'm Eric Todd Rushing. I serve as Sunday Director here. If you are joining us for the first time, we want to welcome you and thank you for blessing us with your presence. Please visit our website, hit the subscribe button in the header to join our mailing list. We would love to stay connected with you. Looking ahead next week, we continue our fall theme, Exploring Your True Self. So please join licensed spiritual practitioners Rob Wozniak, Gordon Dickinson, and Jonathan Hoffman as they dive into our September conversation, Exploring the Spiritual Self through the Act of Prayer. Please consider making reservations today for next week and come support our practitioners in person or online. And then following next week online, stick around for the fourth Sunday prayer gathering dedicated to the teaching and the practice of affirmative prayer. If you are interested in exploring the power of prayer, don't miss this opportunity to be in community together through the exploration of affirmative prayer. No registration is required for that. And registration for self-mastery and the links to join the fourth Sunday prayer gathering are posted on the events page of our website, and you can find it in our weekly e-blast. So great thanks to our creative team for making today's service possible. Keith, Don, Russ, Krista, Dom, Tiffany, our special music guest, Neil Alger. Yes. And Reverend Aimee. We are so appreciative. If you would like to serve this community by supporting the check-in process on Sundays, we'd be so grateful to have community members serving in this role every week, and thank you to Jason for supporting that role today. If you enjoy chatting and connecting with community members, then please consider serving as a social media host on Facebook and YouTube during the Sunday service. This is a role that you can do at home, or if you attend in person. We would love to have weekly volunteers to support that online conversation, and thank you to those who came out today. We look forward to welcoming everyone back when you are comfortable, so when you are comfortable, please make those reservations and come join in on Sunday. It is different than before, but it is still oh so good. So if you're interested in either of those service opportunities, please email me at sunday@cityside.me, or you can fill out a form on the Get Involved page of the website if you would like to contribute to this community in that way. And lastly, don't leave with anything heavy on your heart. If you are in need of prayer support and you are here today, please stay seated, and Krista or Don will come up to you and offer you prayer. If you would like prayer support and you're watching online, go to our website. Under support, you will see prayer requests. You can fill out a written request and a practitioner will pray over it, or you can make a request to have a prayer call and a practitioner will call you and pray with you. Until next week, Cityside, as we continue exploring our true selves.
Thank you, E.T. All right, everybody, stand up. Stretch those limbs. Come on. There's a place that I often go where I can find peace and rest my soul. Come on, everybody, I'll meet you there. That's right. There's a place that clears my mind. It's so close, it's not hard to find. Come on, everybody, I'm gonna meet you there. I said I'll meet you Sunday morning before the world begins. Give up the same old story, start all over again. I'm gonna meet you there. That's That's right, come on. Said, I'll meet you there. There's a feeling I can't describe, a destination my heart recognizes. Come on, everybody, I wanna meet you there. Said it's the gift that we resist the most, and that's how you know it's the place to go. Come on, everybody, I'll meet you there. I'm gonna meet you Sunday morning before the world begins. Give up the same old story, start all over again. Said, I'll meet you there. I'm gonna meet you there. Yeah, come on. I'm gonna meet you Sunday morning before the world begins. Hey, a place of love that I know. Come on and start all over again. Yes, there's a place that I often go where I can find peace and rest my soul. Come on, everybody, I'm gonna meet you there. I said I'll meet you in the morning before the world begins. Give up the same old story, start all over again. I'm gonna meet you there. That's right, I'm gonna meet you here and there and everywhere, but on Sunday mornings at 10:30 again. Reverend Aimee Daniels, thank you for those beautiful words of wisdom. It has been a fabulous Sunday. We hope you have a beautiful week, a beautiful day. Have some nature and sunshine on your cheeks at some point today. I'm gonna meet you there. I'll meet you there. Happy Sunday.